From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Prison time was issued for 2 men convicted in the 2021 botched bail bond arrest. I'll give you the details.
Another day of potentially record-setting heat on the horizon. I'm Jared Hill with a look at how people are trying to stay cool and why one beach had to be shut down.
And racers, start your swine because it's time to head over to the pig races. We're going to go out and about, and you are not going to want to miss this one. Trust me. We'll have that story coming up in about 10 minutes. Alrighty, it is coming up on 6 o'clock on this Friday morning. Jay McDonald and Matt Elwell with you bright and early, and I say bright because the sun's been out for, what, 30 minutes now?
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah.
The official sunrise in about 15 minutes ago, a little more than that in some cases. Yeah, pretty amazing sights as we're looking out this morning. Temperatures are a little bit more comfortable, 40s and 50s for most of the area, 36 in West Yellowstone to start the morning. A little bit of moisture off to our north, falling in the form of rain. We're not seeing much of a chance here in southwest Montana. Temperatures expected to be into the mid to upper 70s. Looks like a pretty comfortable day today, but the heat is building by Sunday. We're going to talk about your forecast and much more in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Now, 2 Butte men are going to prison after their sentencing following a botched bondsman arrest in 2021. MTN's John Amy was in the courtroom yesterday for both sentencing hearings.
2 Butte men both received 60 years with 20 years suspended to the Department of Corrections in connection with a botched bail bond arrest that ended in a fatal shooting.
At best, you were negligent in your conduct, or appropriately, probably grossly negligent in your conduct that evening.
Jay Hubber and Nicholas Jagger hugged their family and friends after the judge sentenced both men in the shooting death of William Harris the evening of December 19th, 2021. Harris was shot and killed by Hubber's assistant Jagger as the pair was attempting to arrest another man in Harris's home for jumping bond. A jury found both men guilty in Harris's death after a trial in March. During the sentencing hearing, Hubber admitted he made mistakes the night of the shooting.
If I could have known that a man would lose his life, I would have never entered the house to make the arrest. I hold myself accountable and take ownership of all my mistakes.
The prosecution said Hubber's actions were more than mistakes and sought a harsher sentence of 80 years for the homicide and an additional 20 years for aggravated burglary for entering the victim's home without permission.
Every Montanan deserves the right to feel safe and has that right, whether or not you live on Main Street or you have a mansion on the hill. Bill Harris had the right to feel safe and remain private in his own home, and they took that away from him.
During the trial, Jagger's defense argued their client shot Harris in self-defense while Hubber struggled with another man in the home. The prosecution disagreed.
Nicholas John Jagger acted purposely and knowingly when he shot Bill Harris. He shot him twice, in the head and in the chest.
The judge also gave Hubber and Jagger 20 years each for burglary to be served at the same time as the homicide sentences. Hubber said to the victim's family he was sorry for Harris's death.
What happened that night was out of my control, and if I could have stopped what happened, I would have. But I have no clue. I had no clue Bill or Nick had weapons. I'm so sorry.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
And a Butte teenager is being charged as an adult in connection with a rape case involving a very young child outside of a Butte elementary school. Talon Redhawk Springer is facing a felony charge of sexual intercourse without consent for an alleged incident with a 4-year-old girl in October of 2023. According to charging documents, it happened at the Whittier Elementary School while the teen was playing hide and seek with several children. Because it happened when Springer was 17, his defense requested that the case be tried in youth court. That request was denied. Police say the victim and her siblings gave consistent reports of the alleged assault over a series of forensic interviews. The forensic interviews were corroborated by security footage from the school. Springer remains in custody at the Butte jail. And a Butte man is facing a felony charge of assault on a minor for striking his 1-month-old infant in the head. 25-year-old Justin Fortner allegedly punched his 1-month-old infant in the head after returning home from work at around 1:30 in the morning on May 31st, while the mother of the child was drawing a bath. According to the affidavit, the infant's mother heard the baby make a cry she had not heard before, and when Justin brought the baby to her, she noticed swelling, bruising, and blood on the infant's face. The mother took the infant to the hospital where staff noticed facial trauma and tested the infant for hemorrhaging. The maximum offense for the felony assault on a minor is 20 years in state prison and/or a fine of $50,000. And the sentencing of Dillon businessman Hank Muntzer for his actions during the U.S. Capitol riot on January 6, 2021 is delayed pending a U.S. Supreme Court decision. In February, Muntzer was convicted of felony civil disorder and obstruction of an official proceeding. He was set to be sentenced on Thursday, June 20th, yesterday. Another January 6th defendant, Joseph Fisher, has appealed his conviction of obstruction of an official proceeding to the Supreme Court. The High Court is currently deliberating the case. Fisher's attorneys argue the case should be dropped because Congress recessed before he entered the building. Muntzer also entered the Capitol after Congress recessed. Hundreds of people have been charged with obstruction of an official proceeding connected to January 6th. But, like Muntzer, the majority have been charged with or convicted of additional charges. Now, on the national scene, summer is off to a sweltering start in parts of the country, and today tens of millions of Americans are under heat advisories. In some cities, the temperatures could feel like triple digits, making for a potentially dangerous Friday. CBS News' Jared Hill has more from New York.
Packed pools and splash pads as people and pets tried to find relief from a record-breaking heat wave on the first official day of summer.
This past week has been rough, but we're really happy that we live so close to a splash pad.
No relief for the sweaty at this beach in Burlington, Vermont. Instead, disappointment. The water blocked off because of dangerous algae blooms triggered by the warmer waters.
I was going to come down and cool off.
The National Weather Service predicts that cities from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic will set more heat records today. Visitors to the nation's capital say they're taking precautions as they brave the heat.
I've got my shorts, I've got my sunglasses, the shade. I'm good.
People are urged to stay inside of air-conditioned buildings and cooling centers like this one during peak daylight hours.
I'm lucky I can come here and cool off.
In New Jersey, a hot day got even hotter after a brush fire broke out, causing major delays for Amtrak passengers stuck on sweltering trains for over an hour. For some around the country, though, the rise in temperatures is causing a different kind of pain on wallets.
They may have AC, but they don't want to turn it on because they don't feel like they have the means to pay for their utility bills.
With potentially more record-breaking temps to come. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
And the U.S. Energy Information Administration, which is under the Department of Energy, is forecasting that household electricity bills from June through August will average $173 per month. That's about 3% higher than the same time period last year. The agency says the cost increase is based on predictions that energy consumption will rise in the hot summer months. Now, oil demand is expected to drop, and the world is predicting to be swimming in a surplus by 2030, according to the International Energy Agency. Now, does this pose consequences to the oil markets? What's this mean for drivers? Well, Scripps News' John Moan takes a closer look.
A new report from the International Energy Agency predicts the growth in demand for oil is going to slow down before reaching a peak of 106 million barrels a day by 2030. At the same time, the energy expects oil production capacity to surge to nearly 114 million barrels a day. That's 8 million barrels per day above the projected global demand. According to the agency, such a massive cushion could upend the current OPEC Plus market management strategy aimed at supporting prices. One expert warns an oil overload doesn't necessarily mean a drop in gas prices for consumers.
Keep in mind that Much of the relationship between the price of oil and gasoline is not just the price of oil itself, but also refining capacity here in the United States.
The report points to increasing development of clean energy technologies, including surging sales of electric vehicles as reasons for declining growth in oil demand. The speed of transition could affect refining capability.
Electrical generation from intermittent resources such as solar and wind. I see that as being very difficult to commission. Consequently, you're going to continue to need to rely on oil and gas and coal for the duration.
The biggest question is, will refineries continue to refine oil into gasoline if the EV transition accelerates, or will they start shutting down their facilities?
The answer may have an impact on prices you see at the gas pump. John Moan, Scripps News.
Something we'll definitely keep our eye on. But in other news, the Natural History Museum of Utah has announced the discovery of a new species of dinosaur, and it was discovered right here in the Treasure State. It's called Lokiceratops rangiformis. The name is inspired by the distinctive horn pattern that is similar to the Norse god Loki, as portrayed in the comic books. Scientists say this dinosaur lived about 78 million years ago and about 12 million years before its more well-known cousin, the Triceratops. The fossil remains were found in northern Montana's famous Badlands near the Canadian border in 2019. And $600 to $1,600 each night from Thursday to Sunday flows through the Bear Creek Saloon. The money is spent on betting on pig races. While it's all fun and games, half of the money goes toward the future of Carbon County youth. MTN's Marcus Kokova has more in our weekly Out and About.
Here we go, race number 6. Are you guys ready? I said, are you ready?
Wedged between Belfry and Red Lodge.
We're racing pigs and having steaks at Bear Creek, Montana.
It's hilarious. Referred to as a pit stop on your way to Yellowstone, Bear Creek is a town of 101 people. No offense, the people aren't why you stay.
The pig races were started by the previous owners of the Bear Creek Saloon in 1990.
They needed something for these tourists to do.
Who doesn't want to go to Montana in the summer?
Following the historic destruction of 17,000 acres.
Basically, they were struggling after the Yellowstone fires.
They couldn't watch the bison. They couldn't be in the park.
Bear Creek's races were the first of their kind for the state.
They had to work out some legal issues with the state, pass a special law, lovingly known as the Pig Racing Bill.
Animals of squalor no more. Here, the pig is king.
Some of them are just, fast pigs that they know their job is to run around and get to the feed first. And other pigs, they just know that they're here for a good time.
They're standard 4-H show pigs. They breed them specifically for us.
More of a cash cow. The pigs are here for the people.
Half of the money from the betting board goes to the scholarship fund.
Over 30 years, $155,000 has gone to Carbon County kids with 4-H and FFA who are headed to Montana colleges.
They're just everyday local kids.
Kids are the future, so anything about kids, especially kids that are involved in animals, makes better kids.
Marcus Kokova, that'll do.
That'll do, pig.
Okay, I'm sold. We gotta get over there, man.
We'll have to watch that.
Are you serious?
Interesting.
I mean, they said it was a pit stop. It's more like the pig stop.
Yeah,
I mean,
there you go.
That's the place to be, it sounds like.
It sounds like fun.
I gotta make a road trip. All right, I gotta get a pig keychain. Now, before we head into a break, I wanted to share this with you. Now, in Montana, unfortunately, we're all too used to very expensive housing prices at the moment, whether you're looking to buy or maybe to rent. But California, they're pretty notorious to having those expensive prices.
Especially Southern California.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to take you to the priciest home in the state's history, which says something. This all according to the Los Angeles Times. This is a massive Malibu mansion that has sold for a record amount in California. This was the Oakley fashion brand founder, James Gennard. That was his home, recently sold for a whopping $210 million.
Out of here.
Absolutely insane to wrap your mind around.
Gorgeous. I get that.
I mean, the panoramas look beautiful. It has an ocean view, of course. It has a mountain view as well. 15,000 square feet.
Tennis
so,
court,
yeah.
it looks like about everything.
And why not?
Why would you ever leave?
8 bedrooms, 14 bathrooms. You could use a different bathroom every single day for 2 weeks.
That'd be great.
And still looking good. I mean, how insane is that, Matt?
Can you imagine how much effort it would take to keep that thing clean and dusted?
I need a lot of Clorox wipes
Yeah.
to get
the
all those
Elwell
services.
family almost would fit in there.
I think so. Yeah, we might need to add an extension here pretty soon. Now, time for a short break here in Montana this morning. But when we come back, recent hacks on our healthcare systems may have people wondering why. What do the hackers want, and what have they already taken? We'll have that news coming up right after the break.